Welcome to On-Demand Instructions video about writing a thesis statement for an essay. This presentation is based on the Common Core standards for writing. We will cover Common Core Writing Standard 1. By the end of this session, you should be able to do the following. Define what a thesis statement is. Explain how thesis statements are used in essays. Recognize thesis statements when you see them. Compose thesis statements to answer writing prompts and support thesis statements. Middle school and high school students need to perform these tasks every day at school, so this information should be very useful to you. What do you already know about thesis statements? Have you learned about thesis statements in English class already? If so, you are at an advantage over some of your classmates. Do you know how a thesis statement is used in an essay? A thesis statement is incredibly important to an essay writer, because without a thesis statement, the essay lacks purpose. And when do you use a thesis statement? Does it go in essays, poetry, research papers? How about short stories? Writers use thesis statements when they need to prove something, like when they need to defend an argument or persuade a reader into agreement. You may already know quite a bit about thesis statements and essays. Use this instructional video to fill in any blanks you have on these topics. So, just what is a thesis statement? It is a statement, argument, or claim that is argued, defended, and supported in an essay. What that means is that a thesis is just one sentence, not a question, not a series of sentences, and not a paragraph. The thesis statement is an arguable statement and the whole purpose of the essay. Without it, there is no essay. So, how do you use a thesis statement? You will build your essay around the thesis statement. The thesis is so important that the whole essay completely depends on it. Always make sure that you have structured your thesis statement in a prominent position in the introductory paragraph. Place your thesis statement at the beginning or the end of the introductory paragraph to give it a position to stand out. Believe it or not, all of the body paragraphs and all of the information within the body paragraphs are there solely to argue and defend the thesis statement. Keep in mind that the job of everything in the essay is to defend that thesis statement. Every time you end an essay, you want to end with a bang. You want your reader to understand that you know your topic well, that your information is accurate, and that your thesis statement is a strong one. One way to do this is to restate your thesis statement in the conclusion paragraph and point out your best supporting evidence so that you leave your reader with a strong impression. Now look at an example of a thesis statement. This one follows a simple structure that creates a very strong impression. Even though they may be unfashionable and uncomfortable, bicycle helmets are extremely important for all cyclists. With this thesis statement, the writer has made the argument very clear, which is a great way to start an essay and set yourself up for success. Take a look at another example. Although it is easy to reach for a soda or sugary drink, a cup of green tea improves a person's health. This thesis acknowledges that there is another side to the argument, that it may seem like a good idea to get a soda, but it comes back to the argument that green tea is healthy. A reader would expect this essay to include research studies about tea, quotations from health professionals, and statistics about tea and good health. Take a closer look at this format. You start your thesis statement with a dependent clause and end with an independent clause. Imagine your thesis with one of the listed words to get started: before, although, since, after, even, as, unless, while, when, or until. The easiest way to start a thesis statement is to begin with the word although. Here you can see our dependent clause in black after analyzing the situation thoroughly. The first part contains a preface or setup for the argument. You can use the dependent clause to state the opposite viewpoint, which can be very helpful in an essay. Following that is the independent clause in blue. Most people will agree that high school students should be allowed to take educational trips to foreign countries. This part contains the argument that students should be allowed to take trips. This is a strong thesis statement. Here is an example of a writing prompt that you might see in class. The prompt reads, "Should children have chores?" One thesis statement option is, "Since children need to learn responsibility young, all children should have chores at home." Here is another example. The writing prompt is, "Make a recommendation on a change for your school." And a thesis statement that could work for this prompt is, "As long as Martindale High School lacks a security officer, good students will be unsafe and bullied." Notice that the dependent clause, independent clause format is used for this thesis statement. And here is another example. This writing prompt is one you may have seen. Should community service be required in high school? One possible thesis statement for this prompt is, "So that teenagers learn the value of helping others, all high school students should be required to do community service." You can see that the same dependent clause, independent clause format is used here. The dependent clause sets up the argument, which is that service should be a requirement. This creates a strong thesis statement. So where does the thesis statement belong in an essay? It goes in one place, the introduction paragraph. In this paragraph, you will see that the thesis is the second sentence, which gives it a strong, prominent position in the paragraph. Interestingly, most people in the emergency room with a bicycling injury were not wearing a helmet. Even though they may be unfashionable and uncomfortable, bicycle helmets are extremely important for all cyclists. Bicycle helmets protect the brain, face, and ears in an accident. As well, they lessen the likelihood of serious injury and death. Wearing a bicycle helmet protects the rider and sets a good example for all cyclists to be cautious while riding. So, you've written your thesis statement and written your introductory paragraph. What comes next in the essay? The support comes next. Throughout all of the body paragraphs should be a variety of strong support for the thesis statement. The support can be a wide variety of things like facts, statistics, quotations, examples, anecdotes, comparisons, research study results, and so on. One thing to be careful of is, do not fill the body paragraphs with your personal opinions. Although it may be tempting to let your thoughts ramble, stick to the research. So why is this important? Where is this used? Are we really going to use this? Absolutely. You will use this in most of the writing you do in high school and college. Every essay, short response, research paper, and hypothesis should contain a thesis statement. Every time you are asked for your opinion, it is an opportunity to write a thesis statement and defend it. Are you on the edge of understanding thesis statements but don't have them down 100%? Well, Do some practice then. Here are 2 activities to try. The first has 4 weakly written opinions that need to be rewritten as strong thesis statements. Second are 4 writing prompts, and each one needs a thesis statement. Pause the video and write out 8 new thesis statements now to practice. So, if you cannot think of a thesis statement, then you need to do some research on your topic. Do a search, ask experts about it, and read articles on the subject. If you do your research and disagree with the thesis statement that you are led to write, get help from a tutor or teacher. Change your thesis statement, or do more research. If there isn't enough information on your topic to write a thesis statement, then you need to broaden your topic and keep researching. If your teacher tells you to rewrite your thesis statement, then rewrite it. If you need help, ask. Teachers, tutors, and other helpful people are usually willing to put in a little extra time to help you. To meet the expectations at school, you need to use strong, clear thesis statements in every essay and short answer in class. Demonstrate your intelligence in your writing. Show that you are knowledgeable on your topic. Include your thesis in the introduction paragraph and support it with facts, examples, and quotations from expert sources. Now that we are at the end of this session, you should be able to do the following. Define what a thesis statement is. Explain how thesis statements are used in essays. Recognize thesis statements when you see them. Compose thesis statements to meet writing prompts. And support thesis statements. Here are a couple of great resources if you would like to look further into thesis statements. OWL Purdue, University of North Carolina, and Capital Community College have 3 useful sites with explanations, examples, and resources to help you. Save these sites for later use. Return to www.ondemandinstruction.com for more instructional videos, podcasts, and materials. We update the site weekly.